This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, hello, ladies, beautiful ladies. Welcome to the Vision Board Workshop, December 2023, our last one of this year. We are dreamcasting for 2024 and beyond. So, raise your hand if you've ever done this before. Few of you, the Vision Board Workshop. Cynthia, you did it before, right? Okay, I was like, okay, so a few of you have and a few of you haven't. So before we get started, I just want to kind of go over quick logistics because a lot of times this is a big question that everyone has. Are we going to leave with a masterpiece? No. Okay. You're not going to leave with a masterpiece. What we're going to leave today with is the master plan. Okay. So I want you to eliminate all perfection. And what we're going to do is we're going to brainstorm together. So we're going to actually just kind of do the messy part of what vision boarding is. And I'm going to walk you through it just like with a brief intro. I'm going to walk you through the whole experience of my version for vision boarding. So there's many ways to be able to do this. So I just want to eliminate any perfection, any pressure to have it all figured out by the end of our session tonight. So before we begin, I want to make sure that I share that. So what you need is really just like a scratch pad, notepad. What I brought, what I have is it's a magnetic dry erase whiteboard. So I'm going to be doing this right with you. So I do this every year. I didn't do my 2024 one yet. So I'm like, great, and I'm going to do it right here with you. Um, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to take notes and we're going to write down whatever comes to our heart and to our mind, and perhaps what we learn as far as some inspiration from me or from the other ladies in the group. So this is just this is the hardest step. Then we're going to make it come alive and I'll show you some examples. So no expectations, get comfy, make sure you have water nearby or a beverage or whatever you like. If you have family members in the room and you want them to join, totally cool. This is for you. And when we have these level conversations, who's at the table and having these types of dialogue of your dreams and goals and things that you're working on, these are different conversations. So I think this is a really great start for you to dedicate this time to really just look within and see what is it that you really do desire. And let's generate this plan. And so with that being said, I'm going to walk you through my version of what this would look like and what I've been doing for years. And so if something doesn't quite stick yet and you don't have an answer, I want you to not only use the chat, ask questions, lean in, celebrate each other, cheer each other on, share the things that you want to work on. Because the more that we put it out, not only on our vision board, but in this community, as you all know, you all ladies know how powerful this community is. And there are also people that are going to be catching this on replay. So if you are catching this on replay, you're not alone. Make sure you continue to reach out, join our community, and we're happy to support you and cheer you on in your endeavors and your journey. So, but the chat will not be shared with the replay. So just know whatever happens in that chat, just like Vegas, whatever happens in there stays in there. So you are safe there. So without further ado, does anyone have any questions before we begin? Okay, cool. So if you have questions along the way, just post in the chat. And then for the most part, it's going to be me talking and sharing my slides. I'm going to share a slide deck with you. So if you can just mute yourself, just to eliminate any background noise or feedback. And then just use the chat if you need help. I'll make sure I have that up and keep an eye on it. But just like give me a wave if there's something that I'm missing. So I'm going to share my screen, walk you through the slides that I have. Can everyone? Oh, it's loading. All right, let me make sure I can see your beautiful faces at the same time. Let's see. Show video panel. There we go. There you are. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, cool. If at any point it has any issues, or you don't see it for whatever reason, or you can't hear, make sure you post in the chat because I'm going to be on the lookout. All right, so most of you know each other already, so we can kind of skip through the intro piece. All right, so vision board, here we go. So I want to go through our why first. So really training our brain to see our dreams and desires each and every day is so important. And many of you have been in my world and been in the Cruise Beyond the Mist world for a while to know that I designed my business on a map, on a piece of paper, right? And I decided that this was what I wanted to do, right? I mapped out what was my wildest dreams and desires, and I put it on a piece of paper, and I carry this around every single day wherever I go. And there's so much magic to putting it out into the world and just aligning yourself to that version of you, right? So although you may not be exactly where you want to be in each area of your life, the more we can see it, the more that we can train our brain to say, you know what, this is possible because it's inside you, it's inside your heart, it's inside your brain. I knew that I was going to live 10 steps from the ocean. I thought it was going to be a lot like years from now, but because I dreamt it, and when life happened and I had to pivot, it's like, yes, of course, because I've been here. I practiced it in my brain. I trained myself to say, this is what I desire, and everything that I do is going to align with that. So I want you to really go wild with this. And it may seem um like I don't want to, I hate using the word crazy, but it might seem like so out of reach. But if it's in you and you can see it, we can make it happen. And it may not look exactly, but it just might. It might just look exactly of how you dreamed it up. So you never know. So why do we do this? We visualize. There's studies that show that 86% of the population is visual. We're visual learners, right? So most of us in the room are probably going to, we not only need to see something, but or hear something, smell something, touch something, but we also need to see it. All right. So that's why I have different means for learning. So we have our slides. That's really just to guide me so I don't get off track. All right. But I also want you to see, see the words, see the reason, see that this is a system and a rhythm that works. And if you continue to visualize and see your rhythm and your system each and every day, we're going to be able to celebrate more. We're going to be able to level up more in ways that you never imagined. So what's the difference between a vision versus a dream? Does anybody know?
I look at it as a dream is like that's never going to happen. Like that is just so wild, but I wish it would happen. But yeah, it's out of reach. Whereas a vision, I think, is you can actually put yourself there. And yes, I see myself living 10 steps from the ocean. I see myself last year, I see myself as an RVSR, and here I am an RVSR, right? So that's what my definition. I don't know if I'm right.
No, I love it. Anybody else? Yeah.
For me, it's like a dream is something that is, I agree with Sandra, that is far reached, it's far fetched, it's far out there, but also something that I believe I can turn into a vision. Because I'll give you an example. When I was 10 years old, my dad, he went down to Florida to help Florida recover from Hurricane Andrew that pretty much like leveled the state. And I remember he came back with these little brochures, and I remember looking at him. I'm 10 years old, and I'm like, someday I'm gonna live in Florida. And I visualized myself. It was so specific. I'm like in a blue Jeep with a sunroof driving down the highway. And that's where I ended up when I was 30 in Florida in a blue Jeep driving down the highway with the sunroof open. So I mean, it took 20 years, but I got there.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing. And that's exactly what we're doing. And so a lot of times people might say it's kind of woo-woo or a manifestation or something that is like it's, a whole nother dimension of psychology and spiritualism. Like there's a lot of skeptics out there. but there's also a lot of data that supports putting your dreams and desires into the universe and then aligning yourself to that higher version of you, right? And so why not live the dream? I know many people are like, oh, I'm living the dream, right? No, like, yeah, I'm actually living the dream. So you can live in your dreams by creating a vision, by creating a system, and by visualizing it and having a daily habit that we look at it and that we reach toward each and every day. And just like Denise said, it might take 20 years. Our timeline is a lot of the work that we do, especially in Cruise Beyond Limits, is releasing that timeline and just being open for opportunity and seeing the vision, knowing what you're working towards. Maybe it's 10 pounds, maybe it's 20 pounds, maybe it's, that next promotion, maybe it's being an author, a speaker, a coach, whatever, it's a lot of times it's never on our own timeline. And so the more that we can dream instead of saying, no, that's never going to happen, we could say, what if, right? What if it is possible? And so a lot of times that inner critic shuts us down before we even start, right? And so we tell ourselves this story, oh, I can never lose those 20 pounds, those last 20 pounds, because I had an illness, or I had, I had cancer, or I had a hysterectomy and my hormones are off, or I'm getting older, so there's no way I could have that body back again. And we tell ourselves these stories. And so what happens is we set those limits already on ourselves, right? A lot of like either psychologically, subconsciously, or actually consciously, right? We're like, nope, I could never do that. Nope, I can never do that. Nope. And so of course, it's not possible because you're right? And so the more we say, okay, what if it is possible? We open up the floodgates for opportunity, right? And if I were to tell myself, like, I'll never live 10 steps from the ocean, I'll never have enough money. I have to do all these other things. The military is, I have to move around with Russ, like all of those things and those stories I could have told myself, it would have shut down the opportunity and those doors that needed to open. So when we think about this, I want you to go wild, like wild horses, like on this island that's right here that I'm going to go visit, right? You never know what's possible and what will show up and how the universe and God and whatever you believe in will align itself because you have your blinders on and we have a clear vision. It's no longer like poof, like this, like pie in the sky, that like cartoon, like bubble, right? Of like, oh, maybe some. No, it's like we're bringing our dreams and we're putting them on the road and we're going pedal to the metal, right? And so when we think about our wildest dream, what can we align and say, for instance, the next 6 to 12 months? So we're going to make it a little bit more short term, all right? But with the long game in mind, right? So that is my system, writing down, like, if you want to live 10 steps from the ocean, you want to be a coach or a best-selling author, what is it going to take for you to get there? And what can we do in the next 12 months to align ourselves to that next level version of us? So then we take small actionable steps. So today, the work that we're going to do is we're going to have the long game in mind, the marathon in mind, right? And then we're going to take each mile marker and we're going to dreamcast through 2024, but also have a clear aligned vision of what that's going to look like in the short term, 6 to 12 months. All right. So with this whole holistic approach, not just like, oh, I need to lose 5 pounds, so I need to just, do meal prepping tomorrow. No, what's the bigger game? What's the bigger why? And what's the effect that that's going to have on your life long term? So yes, it might start with those 5 pounds. It might start with meal prepping, but long term, it's going to be energy, it's zest, it's grandchildren, it's travel, it's fun, it's play, it's opportunity. You never know. Okay. So this is an acronym. It really hurt me to sell this, but I had this above my mirror in my old house. This is a success model. And as a military member, we love acronyms. So this is one of my the best models that I've seen. I did not make this up. So, but I had a big picture of it. And this is also, I quoted it in my book as well. So the success model, or acronym says step one, set a goal. Number two, understand that there's going to be obstacles. Every time we get to level up, every single time without fail. It does not come without a struggle. Something or someone will get in your way. And so the more that we understand that there's going to be obstacles, the more that we can prepare for them. Sorry, my phone put on silent. So the more that we can prepare for them and set ourselves up for what obstacles might come in mind. So when we set our goals and our dreams, it might be people in our way that we might have to bless and release, or have a difficult conversation, or set some boundaries. So we need to understand that there's obstacles. And so when life gets thrown at you, when you have that illness the week before, your biggest presentation, or when someone judges you, or when you get a phone call from a friend that maybe lost their loved one or is going through a hard time, right just before that, like the energy is going to try to suck you in. But you're going to understand that that is part of the journey. That's part of the process. That's part of the level up. And when we create that positive mental picture, we're in it for the long game. And so recognizing that the feeling that you want, and so this isn't just about like the fancy car and the perfect house or that yacht on the water, whatever it is that you're dreaming of. It's recognizing that you have a picture of what is possible for you. And so when these little things kind of get in your way, or you have to sidestep, or it's not on your timeline, you can still get right back on. And we must clear our mind of any self-doubt. So the stories that we tell ourselves need to be positive. They need to be empowering. They need to be engaging, right? So that, because you're going to find when we go through the activity that you're going to start to judge yourself. You're going to hear the chatter, and we're going to have to say, bye, Felicia, because you're worth it. If it's in your gut and it's in your heart and your mind, that means it's worth it for you and it's possible for you. It's just a matter of how are we going to get there? And it may not be right now, today, this week, this year, but it is possible if we keep going after it and we clear our mind of self-doubt. And that means we need to embrace the challenge and know that it's going to be an uphill battle. No, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be grueling. It doesn't have to suck. It doesn't have to be soul sucking. But it's going to be a challenge, and we're here to embrace it. All the things, the good, bad, and everything in between. And then we're going to show the world we can do it. Now we could take on all of these challenges and keep them all to ourselves. But leading her ship, her rocket ship into 2024 is not being selfish anymore. It's about sharing our gifts and our talents and showing others what's possible. And being a role model in doing this work and working this success model over and over and over again in every area of our life, to be able to change the game. And it really is just one decision and one conversation at a time. So a lot of times you can change the energy in the room by showing the world that you can do it, and that you're going after your dreams and goals, and you're quieting the inner chatter, and you're creating that positive long-term goal for yourself. I can't tell you how many people were like, you're moving to Puerto Rico? Like, who does that? Even today, like yesterday, I was sitting at the beach bar at sunset, and there was this family that was here. There were five girls between the ages of 18 and 23, and one boy in this family of six, and their family brought them there, and they're like, you actually live here? Like, you're living where we vacation, and we come here every year. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, holy cow. Like, it's just, for many people, it's unheard of. But now I got to pour into all of these young girls, and the one guy that, I just had her first drink was a margarita at 18, because you can drink at 18 here, right? And so she's like, holy cow, I'm having my first drink with you, and you live here, and this is where we vacation. Like, it just was mind-blowing for her. But now she got to see what's possible. So when she's going after her dreams and goals, and she's thinking about what college she wants to go to, and thinking about how she wants to live her very best life, it's not in a box anymore, into what we know, and we open up that perspective. So this is why we do this, not just for us. It's so that our grandchildren and our children and the people that are watching can be inspired as well. All right. So when it comes to this activity, and we're gonna get started here in a moment. I want you to focus on the feeling and the emotion of whatever that is that you desire. Okay. So living 10 steps from the ocean for me, I've felt it so many times and I've practiced it. It's a feeling of freedom. It's an untethered, it's outside the box, it's an aliveness, it's a calmness, it's a presence with nature that just allows me to be at peace. Right. And I have practiced this and I've thought of this so many times so that I knew that when life happened, that's what my nervous system needed. Right. And so where am I going to go? And what are the things that I'm going to do to know that I need to feel that emotion? And I'm attaching myself to that emotion of peace and freedom and love and joy and vibrance and nature. So as we go through this, I don't want you to just think, all right, yeah, having that beach house looks really cool. But no, let's take it one step deeper. It's not just cool. And it's not just pretty on the outside. It's from within. It brings a happiness and a depth to your being. There's much more to it. All right. So no rules except for create a timeline. So right now I want you to decide, what is your timeline going to be? And you get to decide this. It could be the next week if you need it to be. If you're like, holy crap, I don't even know what step to take next, that's totally cool. All right, to get you through 2023, if that's what you need, great. But if it's 90 days, 6 months, I would recommend don't do anything more than a year. Right? And I'm going to do these quarterly. So if you want to just do 90 days, we can do that. Or 6 months or all of 2024. So develop a clear time frame around what you want your life to be like. Okay. So we can have some manageable goals to be able to create some momentum and be realistic, right? I want you to go wild, but also be realistic, because we know that when we show up in our power and achieve these small milestones, they add up and they give us like this little boost of energy, this confidence, right? And we're like, holy cow, I did that. Imagine what else I can do. And so that's why we want to make sure we're clear and we're not just like pie in the sky, activities or dreams and goals without actually gaining some momentum. All right, so before we begin with this, I want us to review 2023. So feel free to post in the chat or unmute yourself. I want to hear from one or two of you. What was one or two big things that you accomplished this year? It doesn't have to be big. Anything that you have accomplished and a lesson that you've learned. Yes, Denise.
First, from somebody who used to make fun of the running community, I completed 2 half marathons in 2023, falling in love with the running community after doing 1 5K. And I feel bad that I made fun of the running community.
Thank you for sharing. And it's sometimes we don't know what we don't know, right? And we make fun of it because you're not in it. And I always say, like, don't knock it till you try it, right? And so just like personal development work, right? Or therapy, for instance, right? Everyone makes fun of it until you're in the seat and you're like, oh crap, this is actually hard work. And it's helpful and it works, right? Because the work works when you do the work and you're in the seat. Thank you for sharing. Who else wants to share? Hi, Heather.
Hi.
Accomplishment or a lesson you learned?
Yes, I put it
Hi.
in the chat. My first
Oh, you
big
did. I'm
out of
sorry.
state road trip with my daughters.
Yes.
It
Oh,
was, yeah, huge for me as a single mama, one income, like the patience, everything it took to gather and pack and
huge.
yeah, the organization of it all. Thank you,
Yeah.
Cynthia. Connection.
Okay. So if you didn't share I would highly recommend put something in the chat, because before we do this, because when we get into our activities, we tend to think about what we haven't done and what we're not doing, and we're going to judge ourselves. So I want to sink in some accomplishments that we did do, not do, that we did do this year, and sink in that celebration. Okay. And then start to think, if you don't have it yet, start to think what themes come up of what you want your value or intention word, or maybe words or acronym to be for this year, for 2024. And I put some words on the screen, so feel free to to take a screenshot of this if you like. And so that way you have that to kind of look back on if you need some inspiration. But it might not come to you yet, but if you do have one, feel free to share. All right, so this is important. So for the 8 pillars of our life is what we're going to go through. So as far as logistics, this is what we balance at any given time, right? And so when we have our health and fitness, our relationships, our career, our social and leisure, our personal development, quality of life, spirituality, and finances. Toad the small camphor. Yes, awesome. So this is a lot to balance, and it feels like we have the weight of everything on our shoulders. And it's no wonder why we have spaghetti brain when we're trying to manage all the things and the kids and trying to think, oh gosh, I need a vacation from my vacation. I got to go to church. I don't know what I got to read. I can't pay my bills. Like all of these things. I want to get a career. I got to retire soon. The husband's not feeling right today. Like he's feeling a certain way, being emotional. Like there's just so much. The kids are screaming. There's COVID. We're pulled in 12,000 directions. And so what I found is that when I started doing this work is when one of these areas is completely depleted, or we're not paying attention to one of these areas, we tend to have stress and anxiety, and it'll pour into other areas of our life. So I really want us to take, without judgment, pulse check tonight, and a holistic approach to what our life really looks like. So we're kind of going to unpeel the layers and unpeel the onion tonight. And there might be some tears. You might have some judgment. You might have some feelings around this, but you decided that you wanted to invest this time tonight on you because you're worth it. So remember the success model. It's not going to be easy. We're going to be challenged. There's going to be some self-doubt, and that's okay. It's all part of the process. And you're not alone. And that's why we do this in this small container, in a safe space, so that we can work through it together. So post in the chat if things come up. Do not feel ashamed, because I'm sure you're not the only one. So we're going to go through all 8 areas of your life. And if you were to think of this as a wheel, right? So I just bought up my bicycle. Those of you who don't know, I turned in my car last February, and then on Thanksgiving, I got my bike stolen. So I haven't had a set of wheels in a very long time. And last night I just bought a bike. So, but I had to pump up the tire before it left the store. And so when you think about, if you have one of these areas of your life, you're going to have a flat tire, and it's going to go dun dun dun, and it's going to keep coming back, right? And so I want us to pump up each area of our life so we have a round tire. Okay, so we can glide on that road. So we can glide on that at like a swan on the lake. Yes, it's going to be hard work underneath, but we're going to be gliding because we're going to be a little bit more in balance and in tune with what's going on in our life. All right, so feel free to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and myself too. I'm going to do this right here with you. So we're going to map this out. There's going to be 4 questions that we're going to ask in each area. So we're going to go through all 8 pillars, and we're going to ask these 4 questions for all 8 pillars. And this is the hard work, right? So this is just the messy brainstorming. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you in this area of your life? So 10 being the happiest you are in this category or this area, and 1 being the least happy. So make sure you do that right, so you don't, it's consistent. If for some reason you pick one for being the happiest, that's cool. You get to make your own rules. This is your vision board. But I want you to be honest without judgment. Remember, this is a pulse check, and this is a starting point for where we are right now currently. So we're just checking our oil, checking our engine. All right. And so then we're going to set some manageable goals of what actions we can take to get us maybe from a 7 to a 9. And remember, we're going for progress, not perfection. So if you're like, I'm at a 10 for all my things, you wouldn't be here, because I'm not either. All right. So we're not. So be honest, and it's okay. And the more you put into this, the more honest you are, the more you're going to get out of it. And the more beauty is going to come from this. And you're going to be able to look back at this moment and be like, you know what? I was honest with myself. I was at a 6, or maybe I was at a 4 or a 2 in some of these areas. And look at how much I've accomplished in the next 6 months, 3 months, 12 months, whatever that time frame you decide is. I know Heather just shared her testimonial the other day, like the progress she's been able to have to be able to look back. And I don't always require pictures, but my gosh, when you have pictures and you snapshot and you write it down and you mark it, this line in the sand, and say, no more. And you say, like, this is me now, and this is where I'm going. And I get to look back without shame and blame and guilt. And it's a prideful moment. And so for those of you who have been sharing, thank you, because it matters, and you inspire so many people by sharing your story. All right, so top desire for you in this category, and then the emotion. How will this make you feel? All right, so we want to sink it in. So put yourself there. If you're like I keep saying 10 steps from the ocean, I put myself there, and it brings me calmness. It brings me freedom. It brings me joy. It brings a smile to my face. So these are the things when I think about my dreams and goals, when I'm on the top of that stage and I have a full room of a sold out Marriott, of a ballroom, you know, I'm saying thank you to my incredible team, and they're up there with me cheering me on, and we cut the cake afterwards and we take pictures. Like, I have put myself there. I have chills because I know it's going to happen. So those are the emotions of pride and grit and determination and resilience and strength and teamwork and bonding and connection, that it like, and the fact that it's just rolling up. This is the work, right? So the more you can align yourself to that, that's what we're going for. Okay. So now I've been doing this a long time. So just like the workouts, it's not going to roll off that easily for you. Okay. It might not. It might, but it might not, and that's okay. All right. So that's why we're here to kind of brainstorm together. So I just want to encourage you, post in the chat if you're like, I'm blanking out. I'm not sure. I really know what I want. Some chances are someone in this group has an idea for you that you can start. And then we're just gonna say, how will this action, what action will you take? Just one step. Okay. So once we can see it, sometimes just figuring out that next first step is all we need to do. Or maybe we kind of like fell off, maybe our meal planning or something like that, and we want to get back on. Just one step, not like we're going to solve the whole, do all these things in 1 week. Right? So very, very small steps. So I want you to be graceful with yourself, because we're going to go through 8 areas. So we're going to have 8 big goals, 8 desires, 8 emotions, and then 8 action steps, right? Which can be overwhelming. So I just want to lay this out there right now. So if you start to feel the sense of overwhelm, we're going to rack and stack this later. And that's why being the most honest you are by pulse checking yourself and saying where you currently are in this area is going to help us prioritize and rack and stack at the end. All right. So I just want to lay the groundwork for you before we begin. So right now we're just doing our note taking. All right. So what I'm going to map out is the one in the middle. So this is what was on my refrigerator. All right. So this is going to go on my refrigerator after tonight. And I typically don't spend a whole lot of time afterwards creating the pretty pictures and all the words and all that. I don't, my brain works right here on this whiteboard. But feel free to keep it in notes, keep it on a whiteboard, make it messy, or make it come alive. Some people use a screenshot on their phone or their screensaver. There's plenty of ways to do this electronically or physically. And there's, so if you need help, you know, definitely reach out. We can share in our group chat, in our, you know, in our community, what ideas you have and what has come alive and what you do. So I want you to get creative and have fun with it. When we play with the creative side of us, we bring out that inner child of that zest for life and creativity and just excitement for the future and hope, right? And children, for those of you who are children, they're relentless in what they want, right? We just had Christmas. They're like, if they want it, they're gonna get it. And they're gonna sell you, and they're gonna figure out, they're gonna roll up their sleeves, they're gonna try to do everything they can to make that happen, right? Screensaver for the phone and computers. Yes, thank you. Okay, so that's what's next after today. All right, so first we're gonna do the messy work first. And then we're gonna have it come alive. All right, ready to get started? All right, I want to make sure I'm using the right marker and not a Sharpie. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just do the lines to create 8 segments of my page. So you can do 8 different pieces of paper, but I'm just going to do 8 segments like so. I'm going to rewrite this at the end. This is just going to be the messy one, right? But what I'm going to do, look at the top, 2024 vision. Right? So at the top. So this is how my brain works. But you get to do whatever you like. So for the first one, health and fitness. So I'm just going to put it up in the corner like that, health and fitness, or you can write it out. And we're going to put a score. So for each one, I'm going to put a score in the corner. 1 to 10, how happy are you in this area of your life? And once we do 1 or 2, you'll start to get the rhythm of it. So on the health and fitness, let's see. I think I'm going to be at an 8. So I'm just going to put a little 8 in the corner up there. So I'm scoring myself first. All right. Top desire for this category. So notice I'm not at a 10. I too am working, right? But for this area of my life, I want to get back into marathon running, for instance, right? So my goal is to run all 6 world marathon majors. I have 2 left. So when I'm thinking about my health and fitness, I have done a lot of work around meal prepping and habit forming and doing my workouts and obviously showing up for all of you for the workouts, right? So that piece of me, I don't need to be as intentional because I already have that accountability, right? But my goal is to take myself to the next level is I'm going to need to do more marathons, right? In order for me to be prepared and be in the running to be able to complete the last 2. So the last 2 is the long game. All right. And so I know that in 2023, those aren't going to happen. I didn't make the cut. But how can I stay strong and keep my level of running and fitness up? So my desire is to run at least 1 marathon this year. And so it might be in the spring, it might be in the fall. I haven't decided yet. So I'm just giving you examples, right? So I'm talking through this. So if you need help, or feel free to unmute if you have questions. So top desire in this category in health and fitness. Now, this can be your nutrition, your movement, your hydration. Sleep is in this category as well, right? Your rest and recovery. You know, so moving your body is in this category. So something to consider. It's a holistic health and fitness. So what would achieving this desire make me feel? So for this, if I were to do 1 marathon this year, I know that I'm going to still be confident in the marathon distance. Last year, I only ran a half, I didn't want to say only, I ran a half marathon distance. I did not run a full marathon distance. So when I go after my dreams and goals and of running all 6 world marathon majors, I've been out of practice. So that's the story that I tell. I'm like, ooh, I don't have that confidence, right? So I want to have another full marathon under my belt to not only have fun, challenge myself, train for it, but also have the confidence to continue that momentum. So I put this in perspective of the feeling is going to be confident. It's going to be strong. It's going to be consistent progress towards my bigger goal. So being okay that I'm not going to run all 6 world majors, but this is a stepping stone. So I'm going for the feeling of confidence and momentum. Not to mention, the more I run, the more or walk, right? Moving our body helps our mental health and process the pain, the grief, the things that I've been through. And so it's a win-win because I get to train and I get to go out and find myself again and love myself through that time with myself. So it's a dedicated time built in with accountability. And then how will you take action to achieve what you desire? So what is one thing you can do? So for me, it could just be www.google.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a local running group here. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to find a local running group because I don't know what marathons are here. Maybe there's a cool one. Maybe there's one on another island that I don't know about, and I can take a ferry boat there. Who knows? And I'm inviting all of you to come with me. So I'm going to find a run group because that's not only going to help me get access to possible, races this year, but it's also going to fill another cup, which is the social aspect, like Denise mentioned, the running community. So if you need a social component and leisure, like there's a balance, right? There's run groups, and then they have, they meet up, they have fun, they eat, they, party, they celebrate. And so that's one action. Anybody want to share what their one thing they want to work on in this area? Who's brave to say it out loud, say it proud? Come on.
I'll be brave. I'll be
Yes.
brave. Don't make me talk all night, guys. So my health and fitness, mine is to shed the pounds that I've plateaued at. So for me, I know I need to work on my nutrition. So I have some books that I've had sitting here that I haven't read, so I can understand all about nutrition. And then making sure I meal prep, because for me, it's about being able to feel comfortable again, being able to wear whatever I want from my closet, but feel good in my own skin and not feel like I'm have to cover up or anything like that. So that's what my end goal is. And I know nutrition, we've talked about this many times, is where I falter. So I need to suck it up and do the tough stuff.
But thank you for sharing. Okay, does anybody have any questions in this area? Okay. So shameless plug for the Cruise Beyond Limits virtual hit camp. Y'all are in it, so I don't need to preach into the choir here, but just a reminder, the $69 special ends December 31st. So if you're in your renewal, make sure you take advantage of that. And also please share it with your friends and family. Okay, this price is going up January 1st. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I am possible. I love this quote. And this picture was at a business conference. It was the VWise conference for veteran entrepreneurs, inspiring veteran entrepreneurs. And this is in 2019, right around when I was gonna, when I had the cancer and I literally was at my wit's end, 2 years into business, I almost threw in the towel. And I was so afraid to be visible online. So I had put people's quotes. I didn't want to be on video. I didn't want to share my picture. I was so afraid of what other people would say. And in the military, they tell us stay under the radar. Don't call attention to yourself. Don't post stuff on social media. It's not safe. People know, like so. And that was a long time ago, right? And a lot of has changed where there's security settings and there's ways that you can protect your account and that sort of thing. But back then it was just kind of like taboo. But I was running an online business in 2017, well before COVID. So I had to go through this like kind of visibility breakthrough where my coach, she's like, you can't hide behind other people's quotes anymore. You have your own voice. You have a message and you are worthy of sharing that message with the world. So you need to put your face out there. You're beautiful. And so I say that to all of you too, to pass this down, like you are beautiful and you are worthy of your voice and you have a gift to share with the world, each and every one of you. And so this particular, this conference, I entered a contest. It was a social media contest on Instagram. And I really wasn't using Instagram back then. It was just Facebook. And I was like, I'll try this Instagram thing. They were like, you got a hashtag and check in and do a story. And I'm like, I don't know what the heck to do. But I did. And I did a screenshot and I won this contest. So they picked me. But what I did was in this contest, if you don't know the story, and that's why I love sharing this, is I said, this is in 2019. I said, I want to host events for female veterans and military spouses. And I want to use this platform to be able to impact more women all over the world and show them what's possible. And so and all it was just what I want to do to impact the world and how do I want to use social media, my platform and my business to change the world. Right. And they picked me. And so this is me getting this. It was a game that one of the other entrepreneurs had created. Right. And so you have something in you. And this is a game. It's like a roller game. It's for kids, but like Cynthia, your creativity, like you're incredible in what you do. And like Denise with your poems and Heather with your everything you've been through, and Sandra and Melody, like you all have these gifts to share with the world. So whether it be your humor, your love, your grace, your compassion, your the things that you've grown through to be able to share your message, it's worth it. You're worth it. So put it out there. You never know. All right, career and work. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are we in this area? Now, this can mean your current state of work, or maybe you're retired or planning retirement. You can decide if you want your next chapter. What do you want your next chapter to look like in career and work? So take a couple moments, score yourself. Now, if you're in a job, for instance, and you want to take on maybe another project or a passion project, or maybe you want to start a business, this could be a good opportunity for you to say, you know what, I want to pour into another area of the next chapter, right? And so it might mean on a part-time or a hobby basis, but that's still okay. It's still part of your dream, so you get to put it here. So what's your top desire in this area of your life, in your career and work, or maybe the next chapter? How do you want to retire? What does the next chapter look like? Um, How would this make you feel? And what's one action you can take to get you in that direction? Now, sometimes with career and work, it might take some networking. It might take you getting help with your resume. It might take you learning about building a business. It might take reading a book, right? It might take getting another coach, getting mentorship, going to networking events, researching, learning more skills, what is going to help you level up. It doesn't have to be huge, right? Just small things, because those little things add up. Who wants to share for this one?
I will,
Yes.
honey.
Hi.
Hi. Well, this is going to be one of my key takeaways, and what I really want to work on probably as a priority, because I'm in my 38th year in with the same company, and that particular part of my life is coming to an end, hopefully within the next year, two at the top. So that this is a scary part for me, because I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I think this is one thing that I'm going to really concentrate on and say, okay, what's important for me right now on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm happy with my progress at closing out this part of my career, but I'm not happy that I'm making money for somebody else and I don't feel like I'm making a difference in the world. So I have to come to some type of agreement in my head as to what I want to do, because I don't want to retire. I don't feel like I'm ready, but I do know that I don't want to work so much. So I guess the first thing I need to do is narrow down the types of potential positions I want to work on. And I have to work on my resume since it's been a long, long time. And then I think that once I can narrow down what I see myself doing for, say, the next 10 years in a different career, I will feel really, I think I'll feel really happy with myself, just happy and knowing that I'm doing something more meaningful than what I do now.
Okay.
And did I answer? And I guess, well, my first action, I did say that I need to kind of narrow down what it is I want to do. Maybe I need some more training. And then I'll begin to work on my resume and network with my network that I have now, to see what's out there for me, this old girl.
You're not old.
That's
You're wise. So I just want to share something that came up while you were talking. As a business owner, I know I don't have office space. My office space is here in my spare bedroom. My office space is everything. I spent the afternoon, and this whole week and a half trying to make my space just right. And I say that to say what you do is you do impact the lives of others. That are the small business owners that you provide that space and that level of support and customer service and love and you're invested in their lives, in their families, in their careers, in their businesses, in their livelihood. So I just, I know it might not seem like, because it's not, maybe there's other pieces of your heart that you want to use, but gosh, you are making a difference.
Oh, thanks, honey. It just sometimes doesn't feel that way. And,
Yeah.
closing out this chapter is kind of like making me a little negative, which, I don't like to be negative. So, but thanks. You're right.
Well, I mean,
Next,
and how many, okay, so you have 6 properties left to sell, right? How many did you start with?
40,
40.
40,
So math in public. In how many, and in how long?
about a year and a half.
A year and a half. So what,
And
30, 34? She sold 34 properties, contracts, legal, negotiations, not to mention dealing with the estate and the all the family drama. That's
right,
huge.
right. That's why I'm really looking forward to having it end.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
But see
thank
how
you.
easy it is for us to say, like, we're not doing enough.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that. So, but I really am happy to have these 4 questions for each of these. And I know I'm going to spend a lot more time on each one individually, because this kind of um, narrows it down so that because sometimes it feels so overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Am I too old? Nobody's going to hire me. And then I'm like, well, of course they're going to hire me because I'm awesome. I just got to find out what I want to do. Now, I told you, Crystal, my granddaughter wants me to be a hall monitor in the high school because she thinks I'll cheer everybody up on a daily basis. That probably will not fill my cup for long.
You'll
So
start
we'll
swearing.
see. Yeah. Swear jar. I'll go broke. So
Awesome.
thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
muting myself now.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. All right, next one, relationships. Now, this is relationships with maybe your spouse, significant other, roommate, sister, brother, children, friends. And this is also your relationship with yourself. So don't just think, relationship is your spouse or your children. Think of it as a bigger picture, scale of 1 to 10. Know if you get stuck. Anyone ready to share?
Hey, honey, I'm just gonna say something really quick because
Mhm.
this, as you pointed out, that you know, it could be relationships. It's a wheel. Like there's a wheel. There's, you know, yourself, your coworkers, your, you know, relatives, your grown children, your grandchildren. You know, so it's a big. It could be a big wheel, right? And there's a lot of answers. There's a lot of different feelings associated with each of those sections. But my first thought when I started this on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like, all I could think of was who wants a piece of me today? So I need to work on that. Right? That's how I feel with my relationships. Who wants a piece of me today? Instead of who can maybe who can I give a piece, you know, who can maybe give me a piece, or you know what I mean, or give me, who needs whoever screams the loudest today is who gets me, right? So the relationship with myself is going to be number one to work on, so that I can try to manage that wheel of all those other pieces of uh, of that. So I'm sure everybody else probably has that same like conundrum in their head right now. Well, okay, so my relationship with my grown children, well, one is a 10 and one is a 1. So, you know,
I
with my
screamed really loud
spouse,
today.
yeah, with my spouse, no, you're great. But with my spouse, you know, today it's a 10. Yesterday it was a 1, you know. So these are all, this is a little bit, this is going to require some more thinking. But if it's important, you're going to spend the time on it, right? So
Mama Kelly.
that's, yes, darling.
Hi, can I make a
Hi.
suggestion? It's
Yes,
just
please.
like something that I use that might be that helpful, available to you, because I used to do the same thing. Who wants a piece of me today, or who needs a piece of me today? I switched it to how much of me do I have to give today?
That's a good one. Hold on, I have to write that down.
And if it's a 1, that's fine. If it's a 10, great. But if it's a 1, that's okay too.
Say that again, Miss Denise. How much of me?
How much of me do I have to give today? Or like, can I give today? Or how much of me do I want to give today?
Okay. Thank you. That is a good one.
I mean, obviously,
So
if you have to
those
meet a
are
basic need
things.
for somebody, like if you have to feed a child, ah.
Yes, I know. Yes, those poor babies. I'm teaching them how to use the microwave. I'm really good at that. Oh,
Honestly, I just wanted to add, Mama Kelly.
hi, baby.
Hi. Based on your experiences recently, when you said like at the beginning of relationships, like who wants a piece of me? I was like, oh, all right, that's where
No.
you're at. That's where you're at. Like, who wants a piece of me?
Yeah.
So I
Well,
chuckled
you
in.
know, sometimes it feels like that. You have three babies, three baby girls, and then you got your clients, and then you got, and it's like, when is it gonna stop? I want to
Mm.
run away to Puerto Rico, get my own room.
Yes, yes, February. I kind of took
Yes.
this on in relationships in an overarching way, because it's driven by my top desire of more in-person community connections. Because when I think of like my relationship with myself, okay, that's higher than say those in-person connections and groups I have right here in my own hometown or whatnot. When I think of like my children. So I picked like obviously the top desire, but it was more broad, I suppose, as opposed to specific to a one person in, you know, relationship area. And there's like one part, like I'm not even going to touch with a 10-foot pole. Like it just doesn't even matter to me right now, in terms of like romantic relationship. And like that is a blessing, so I can focus more on this in-person community connection. And then so in my head I'm like, oh, and then I'm part of, and I'm feeling like more whole, where like that piece is missing, right, or hurting or whatever. So then it's like adding to that. And then what flourishes from that, right? Like not in terms of like romantic or friendships or whatever, whatnot. However, networking, just in person, get out there. So the action is to like get out the door, like open the door and go outside.
Yeah, baby.
I know. It was hard yesterday, but yes, just that overarching. Because I feel like kids, it waxes and wanes with the ages that they're at right now. I just roll with the punches with that, but you all know
That's all we
like
can do.
the baseline is like show up, be present, you know, be attuned to their needs, and cherish it.
Mm-hmm.
Any relationship, honestly, but especially with my babies right now.
Yep. Oh, and Heather, you can have a piece of me any day, just so you know.
I'm gonna take
You're
all
my,
like, what about me?
you're my girl.
ugly cry on FaceTime.
Yeah,
One
but
last
you're
thing
beautiful.
I wanted to share with this that I also do. Kids are a different story. I don't have kids, so I don't want to speak from that. But like I was always the fireman, especially in my military career. I was always the fireman that put out all the fires, running around, exhausting myself, putting out everybody's fires. And it got to the point where, especially when I was getting ready to retire and also leave the full-time position, what would you do if I wasn't here? And then it got to the point, I'm like, you would figure it out. It got kind of morbid because I was getting so aggravated. I'm like, okay, now you got to act like I'm dead. You can't call me. You can't run to me. I'm not here. I'm dead. What are you going to do? You're going to figure it out. So, and that's for grown people, not kids.
Right, right. Oh, that is a good one too, Denise.
And I love the different perspectives too of like taking all relationships as one whole, and then also possibly taking each one and scoring each one and say, okay, where can we improve in this area? And what is one thing we can do? And how will this make me feel? Right. So I think, Mama, to your point, like it was overwhelming because you're thinking of all the different relationships at all different, numbers, right? And some are very high and some are very low and some are in between. And so we do some of this work too in the Million Dollar Body Academy. So recognizing your piece of your energy pie of which role you play in each area, in each relationship in your life, and the people that you spend the most time with. And then Mama just knowing too, like being able to rack and stack according to where your dreams and goals are, right? So when we have the energy suckers and the relationships in our life that aren't filling our cup, aren't fueling us forward, then that's where we set some boundaries. And I know Denise has another tool. I thought she was going to bring this up, But I hope it's okay if I can share that she has, you know, we do some racking and stacking in the academy, but she has another like system where you put your closest people at the top, like A, B, C, D, E, and you know, Denise, you can feel free to share, but like the people down at like H are acquaintances. And so they don't always make the cut. You know, if all I have to give today is 20%, only my AB is going to be touched. Everyone else can wait.
I categorize my people A through H, and I can share I can share my system. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on, but just remember, this is just the start of the messiness, right? So we're not meant to, this isn't meant to rush. And of course, it's going to take some intention and a little bit of work after tonight, but I hope that this is opening up perspective. What letter am I? Okay, if you can dream it, you can do it. So finishing my marathon, this is what my goal is. This is the Reggae Marathon in Jamaica. Finishing the race like this every single time. So that was a 5.5 hour marathon, I think. And I was like, I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to have some fun at the end, no matter what. Right. So how you finish, and you start with the end in mind of how you want to feel when you finish, when you accomplish these things, and you put yourself there. All right. And it's not a fake it till you make it. It's almost like you're putting yourself in the emotion, in the state before it happens. So you're almost tricking your mind into believing that it is possible, so that when you get there, it's not so much a shock. Like, I belong here, 10 steps from the ocean. I've practiced it so many times, and I've put myself there. I've run 26 marathons in a 50-mile race. I finished the race every single time before I did it. And there was never an option of, oh, I can't finish. Oh, I'm just going to stop. No, because that's the only option. No matter how much pain, and I know I saw it on Sadra when she finished the Buffalo Marathon back in May. She finished that thing. She was in so much pain, and she finished. You know, and I saw that face. I saw that smile. You know, so you are B. Oh, okay. All right. Who's drawing on the board? I don't think I can get rid of this, but all right, we're gonna play this video. Where's my mama? I don't want her to miss this. Come back. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. I'll share it with her. Oh, there she is. Okay. We're gonna play a video real quick. Give me a thumbs up when you can hear. I want to make sure my audio is good.
I just got a question for you. A question that changed my life. A question that made me step up to the plate. A question that made me be everything that I was created to be. And that question I want to ask you is this: why not you? I know we always ask, why me? Why has this happened to me? Why do I have to go through all this? Why is all these things leaving my life? All this struggle coming in my life? Why not you? Why not you be the one to take all that struggle, all that pain, all that loss, and build that into strength? Build that into something special. Build that into greatness. Why not you be the one out of your family that does something incredible with their life? Why not you be the one that comes from your city and your neighborhood, that takes their life to a level only people dream of going? Why not you be the one to make it, to start that business, to do the impossible, to do what people don't even think that anybody could do? Why can't it be you? You know, what I'm doing today with my life and with rehab time is the impossible for a lot of people. At one point, it was the impossible for myself. But one day I woke up and said, why not me? I said, forget my imperfections, forget all these negative things that are going on in my life, forget the negative thoughts that are going on in my mind. I said, you know what? I'm going to conquer my struggle. I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna be that person that I know deep down inside I could be. And I start saying, it's on me. So you watching this video right now, it's on you. You can be the one. You can be the one that gives people hope. You can be the one that people look up to. You can be the one to show people that it is possible. To show people that it is achievable. To show people there is a next level. Make that be you. You be the one. You hear me? Stop sleeping on your life. Stop pressing snooze. Stop doubting yourself. Stop waiting till the perfect time to do something. And go be the one. Why not you? Like I said in every single video, it all starts with you. It's rehab time. Let's get it.
All right, what do you think? What comes up?
One thing that stood out to me is forget about where he said, forget about my imperfections. Step up, right?
Mhm. And allowing it to be messy and just starting, right? All right, so we're going to move on to our quality of life or our reputation. So I want you to think about, I know, Mama, you mentioned creating impact, right? So your quality of life, from a holistic approach, how do you feel, you as a role model, you as a leader, you know, your reputation of how people view you and what they say about you when you're not in the room, right? So this can also be materialistic. Do you have your dream house? Are you in the house that you planned and that you worked towards? Or do you have the car that you dreamed of? Or, you know, are you in alignment of the dreams and goals and the impact that you want to make in the world? So are you living up to the reputation that you want to have? The quality of life that you want to have? And so these are the types of questions we can ask as far as, the impact and the ripple effect of you showing up, right? So bigger than you. It can be like, I got the red bottom shoes or the Louis Vuitton bag or whatever, or the nice white picket fence and the car with the family and the dog and whatever, right? So start to think about, it can be materialistic or it can be your impact and your reputation. So top desire, how would make you feel, and what's one action? While some of you are still writing, I'll share mine for this area. This is kind of new to me. I've had my show, I've had the Cruise Beyond Limits, the Health is Wealth show, and I've had Freedom Friday. And when I first started doing my mapping, I thought I needed to have a podcast in order to be successful. And what I've recently realized is I have a podcast. It just looks different. It's not necessarily called the podcast yet. And so the last couple of years, I've kind of wrapped my head around and removed that achievement as being a successful entrepreneur, and really recognizing that I do have a show that people love to listen to and people love to tune into and engage with and learn from. And I'm on the one of the biggest clubhouse rooms, in the Breakfast with Champions. And then I have been able to repurpose that into our community, right? So one of my goals for next year is to actually put it on the official podcast platforms. So it'll be on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify podcast platform, to be able to have content at our fingertips at any given time without having to go to YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. So it will be in a formal setting. And so the way that I feel, and I kind of had to work through this, because I was like, oh, I'm going to feel like I am successful and I'm achieving that goal which I've already achieved it. It just looks a little different. So what a little shift that I had to make was the feeling and the emotion is pride in knowing that I'm able to reach more people quicker and faster all over the world, right? And impact more lives with the story, and bringing guests like all of you on there to be able to share your amazing stories as well. So I wanted to share that because I had to kind of work through that. Like, I'm going to be successful when, but no, it's like, I already have done this. And kind of that reframe that I did with my mom is like, I already am making impact. I'm going to be able to make even more impact. Right. And that's a feeling of accomplishment and pride and joy, that we'll just be able to take it to the next level. So I'm excited. So what's one thing? I did get a presentation to invest with LA Tribune for them to bring my my podcast on their platform, on their network. And they're only selecting a few. So I think I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna accept it. So scary. It's an investment, but yeah. So anybody else who would like to share? Sometimes this one's tough.
I can.
Awesome.
My quality of life, have it at a 7, but at this time in my life, I want to learn a foreign language. I want to Spanish. I have never learned Spanish. I want to learn Spanish, and plus, it's the personal development of learning something. I've needed it quite a few times. I could have really used it, and I didn't have it, and I always say, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. No, you have to do it. So it's not a big thing, but it's something that, is important to me. So,
yes, I love that.
yes.
Thank you for sharing.
All right. You're welcome.
And so what is the one action you're going to take?
Well, I'm either going to get a book on tape, or maybe a tutor would be a good thing. As opposed to taking a class. I'm not sure how I'm going to accomplish that, but I've looked into different types, and whichever, I guess I have to try a couple to see which is going to fit me. As
Mhm.
far as they have so many different programs. They have the Babbel, and they have like I said, the book on tapes, and they have plus maybe have somebody, a tutor would
Mhm.
probably be the way to go.
I know my mom has tried a couple things. So you might want to connect with her offline and see what she can share. And then also you can come visit. They speak Spanish here. Nobody speaks English around here, so it's a good way to practice. Just saying.
Sounds good.
We are having the reunion here. We're having a reunion here. I didn't release the dates yet, but it's gonna be, I think, at the end of April. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you all for sharing. Okay, social life and leisure is next. So, social life, and this does not mean your kids. This is your social life. I know, I know. Why not you? You're worth it too.
I'm gonna share real quick, okay? So I attended your vision board before, and I think throughout the course of us knowing each other or whatever for the past 3 years, you had sent that video to me, and instantly it always makes me tear up, like just gator tears were just coming down, and I'm like, so overwhelmed. It's just so powerful, and it drives me. It drives me, like, why not me, right? I have it posted on my fridge. I live it every day.
Thank you. Who's ready for sharing for this one?
I can share for this one.
Okay.
I scored it at a 9. I do have a lot of friends all over the map. But it's not that they're surface level, but I'm not able to see the majority of them on a daily basis because they live all over the map. They're good friends. They just live on the other side of the world and got their own thing going on. We connect through Facebook. But a top desire is deeper connections, deeper human interaction connections, not through the phone. And I would feel like, how would this make me feel? It would feel like I belong. It would feel like it would give me a feeling of home. And how I'm going to do this is taking action to achieve what I desire is, for me, it's continuing to do the things I enjoy, like the outdoor activities, going hiking, going on weekend trips, so I can connect with people that have the same interests that I do. That way, like we can connect on that level.
I love that.
That's where I am.
You're filling multiple cups all at once. It's good. Oh gosh. I know. Big party around here. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a parade going down the street right now. Um, so I think it's Denise and I have had this conversation before about getting into social circles and groups that not only fill multiple cups, but you're there for a shared reason. So like Cruise Beyond Limits, for instance, right? We're here to live happier and healthier, right? And cruise beyond the limits that are set for us and the limits that we place on ourselves. So everyone is working towards the same thing. So there's already an instant bond and connection, right? And so when you're thinking about, being your social circles and who you hang around with, like who you go to the movies with, who do you go to the mall with? Are they, are you there for a shared vision and a shared goal, right? And can you both agree that that's why you're in that relationship or at that event, right? Um, and of course, people have their own agendas, and we're going to run into people that don't have good intentions, right? But that's not the norm, right? So if you go to a running community, for instance, like or an event, RWB, Team Red, White, and Blue, How I Met Cynthia, for instance, right? Or even in the base, in the military, or a hiking or adventure group, right? What came to mind here is like maybe I'll look at certain groups of expats that move here from the States, right? I'm sure there's a Facebook group for it. There's something that you're going to have a shared connection, right? I was out with the girl that was helping me move last night with Tamara is her birthday. It was her birthday. And she wanted to go to the mall and go drinking. There wasn't a shared value there. It was like there was no depth to the reason why we were having these activities. And it had nothing to do with social and physical activity, which is what I need to fill my cup. Right. And so I felt myself a little out of alignment because originally we were going to go hiking. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be great. We can go hiking, they have a nice meal and, see nature and just release. And she was like, let's go to the mall and then let's go drinking. And I'm like, none of that sounds fun. Thank God it was her birthday, or else I would have said no. Because that social and leisure, it doesn't align with me. Right. And so recognizing when you feel that ickiness of when you're sacrificing pieces of yourself to put yourself in circles, places, and spaces that maybe no longer serve you. And maybe they did years ago and the people want you to continue to show up for them. But you're allowed to say no. So just something I would share because I was thinking that last night, like, this is not my jam. Okay, next one, spirituality. So sometimes this gets some people a little stuck too. So if you don't go to church, maybe you want to go to church more, maybe you don't believe, maybe you do. This can be a range of definitions to meet you wherever you're at in your faith journey, and in your spirituality. So what I would recommend for you in this area is if you want to take it to, your relationship with God or your God or the universe or whatever that is, go there. If that doesn't resonate with you at all, I would venture to say, like, what are your core values? And how are you in alignment with those core values? Right. And so for many, many years, I didn't always go to church. Right. And I didn't read the Bible. I didn't know, I felt really kind of inadequate for a long time. And joining the military 22 years ago, I aligned myself with the core values. And so when I met my husband, he grew up in a church that was like cult-like. And so he rebelled against the church that he grew up in. And so he didn't want to get married in church and didn't want to go to church. And so we kind of grew through this battle of like, what is our relationship with God and church and our spirituality? But we aligned ourselves to the core values that the military had. Spoiler alert, only one of us actually lived the core values. But the way that we built our foundation of our marriage was not in spirituality of what I think I view it now, but I was able to say, like, I believe in something bigger than me, and I'm aligned to the core values, and those are the standards and the ways that I show up in my life and for other people through those. So I just want to give you some options. So something to think about, kind of like your reputation. You can't really see, touch, and feel it, right? When you think about your spirituality and your faith and your relationship with, God or whatever, it's kind of a soft, it's not measurable really, right? So you get to determine what that looks like for you. Are you in alignment with what you want, this next level version? When we go after wild dreams and goals, it's going to take a bigger next level version of us. So it might mean we have to grow in our faith in ourselves, our faith in God, our deeper core values, living them out more, being in more integrity and alignment with all the things, right? So it's a heavy burden. It's a heavy load to carry. I don't want to say burden, but it is a heavy load to carry, right? Especially when we make a decision to Dreamcast and say, we're going for it. And there's going to be times that, things are going to knock us down. So staying true in that passion and that purpose and that direction of what you believe in and what is bigger than you, it allows us to align and use it as a litmus test as well. So I'll give you a moment to jot some notes down. My goal is to find a church here that speaks English so that I can actually go. So that's my goal. Or my old church in Louisville, they stream online too. So one of the goals that I had last year was when I'm home, I'm going to, I read my Jesus Calling every morning. I do morning and evening reflections. I in my prayer, and then when I'm home, if I'm not traveling, I go to church. I make it an attempt to go, right? So that was a way for me to say, all right, I know I'm not going to be able to go every Sunday, and I don't want to say I'm going to go 2 Sundays because I'm going to travel probably sometimes. And so when I'm home, it's an intention. We work around that schedule. Anybody care to share?
I can share on this one.
Okay.
So my spirituality, right? My faith is really strong, and that's one of my core values, and I practice it wholeheartedly. However, like in a collective experience, that doesn't exist unless I'm at like a recovery meeting. So the feeling, right, is of course, and I'm seeing a theme, part of, and feeling more purpose driven, and like it's a give and take, it's without parallel, right? And then the action is to look up spiritual events that align with my spiritual values and attend them and make connections with other people.
I love that. So good. Anyone feel stuck or have a question before we move on to the final two? Okay. Be faithful to what exists within you. So sometimes, really just having faith in yourself, trust in yourself. You know, before we started, we recognized and sunk in some of the things that we did accomplish today, or this, not today, maybe it was today, but what did you accomplish this year? Right? And so when you can really recognize that you have done hard things before, you can have more faith and courage to step into the next chapter and start to he continued to recognize all the things that you have done. It may not look exactly like what you're going after, like that shift with my mom with, you know, her next chapter in work. Um, it was almost like there's no purpose, but there is. It's just a stepping stone. So how can you use, for instance, me when I was a licensed broker for HSBC, I was a coach, I was a certified emotional intelligence, temperament, and a fitness coach. Like put it all together, right? And so how can you lean on some of the experiences? And maybe you're like, oh, well, I was an accountant or I was a typist or I was an assistant somewhere. Like, and we don't just shut that out and say, well, we can't make impact in that area. It's like, how can we use that experience and those tools and those skills to elevate us to the next level, right? And use it to be a lily pad or a stepping stool. Give us more courage and faith in ourselves to step into that next chapter. So speaking of which, personal development. So Melody, your language might fall under this category. I know you shared personal development. So if something else comes to mind, totally cool. With personal development is a learning, it's a willingness to learn and be open for growth. So it's knowing that you don't know it all. And if we are the smartest person walking into every room, we need to get into different rooms. We should never be the smartest person in every single room. So really taking the time and saying, what can I learn? What spaces can I be in? What books can I read? What podcasts can I listen to? What networking events can I go to? Yes, they're scary. Yes, they can be intimidating. Yes, there might be powerful people in that room, but you're worth it. And so, how can you continue to learn and be curious and be open in what you want to learn about, right? I know a lot of you have heard me say in the past, like, what we resist will persist. So I know, Heather, you said, I got to get out the door. If you don't get out the door, we're missing out on opportunities. And more importantly, they're missing out on you and your spirit and your sparkle and what you get to, you know, share with the world as well. So don't forget that. You know, I know with personal development, it can be like, oh, what am I going to get from this? What am I going to learn from this? What can I get from this coaching program? We're going to start another academy in January, right? The beauty of the academy and these programs is the social learning. It's not what can I get from it, it's how can I serve as well. So it's a two-way in this personal development because we all learn and we all level up when that in that shared space. So I just want to share that because sometimes we're like, oh, I want to read 10 books this, you know, in the next 3 months, right? And I know that is some of your goals, right? So, but why are we learning these books? Is it all for us? And how are we sharing them? That's why I love doing the book club. As I learn them, I don't want to keep them all to myself. Like I want to do a book club because I want to share and have and be in conversation and have the shared learning experience to compare stories and experiences to learn and take the depth of the learning to the next level. So I just want to share that. I'm going to take a moment and jot a couple things down for my personal development. but this could be conferences, events, networking, learning, podcasts, whatever, you name it. Okay, who wants to share?
I'll just share real quick, just to piggyback on my career part. Part of my personal development is going to be, I'm going to research resume writing and how to actually search for a job and look at different organizations, professional organizations, or like LinkedIn or other job hunting organizations. So I can begin to see what's out there and see what might fit. And I think that would be part of my personal development. And I think will make me feel more confident once I know how to market myself, right? And also I'm going to hook up with Melody and we're going to learn Spanish together. That's my goal.
Love it. I know we're kind of going kind of fast over the last few. So, if you're feeling rushed and you're feeling overwhelmed, just take a deep breath and make sure you come back to it and table it because you're worth it. All right, retreat's coming up July 25th to 31st. So y'all know about that. So y'all know for real because you've been there. All right, last one. Finances. All right, scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you in this area? What's your top desire? How will achieving it make you feel? And what's one action you can take? So now when you think about finances, there's one thing I want you to think about is the F word, not the D word. So the F word is freedom. The D word is debt. So when we think about creating a positive mental picture about our dreams and goals and achieving success, it's how can I achieve more financial freedom? That it breeds a lean in action of curiosity and fun and play, right? That feeling of the emotion of being financially free to be able to pour into all the other stuff that we want to do, right? But if we were to lean in and say, I want to be out of debt, that you just feel it in your body, like I want to be out of debt. Like debt is just, I mean, there's good debt, there's not so good debt, right? But the way the body processes debt versus freedom is much different. At least it is for me. And I recognize it when I coach others too, when they talk about their finances. And they say like, oh, I gotta get out of debt. Oh, I gotta get out of... No, how about I want to be financially free to be so that I can sponsor a family at next Christmas, or to be able to sponsor a female veteran or a military spouse or someone to attend one of the Cruise Beyond the Midst programs. right? So being financially free provides opportunity, not only for yourself, your children, your spouse, your community, the people that you want to impact, the people that you care about. It's a vehicle, and money is an exchange of energy. And it's a vehicle to be able to impact with your exchange, right? And so just something to consider if you want to, I would highly recommend taking the word debt out of your vocabulary and thinking about when it comes to personal development, when it comes to going to these events, maybe getting a coach or higher or leveling up, it's an investment. It's an investment in your next level version of you. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your future and what else is possible as you Dreamcast. So, part of this work too is becoming an entrepreneur is recognizing like, all right, not everything is an expense and is debt. It's an investment, right? And so it's just it's different. It's a different energy saying like, oh gosh, I can't afford that. Or like it's an opportunity. When I invest in myself, the opportunities are going to open up. Right. So just kind of flipping some of that language in this space might be helpful. Who would like to share in this category? Yeah.
I'll share. After your guidance, it came to me like that. So that was very, thank you for explaining that. So with the financial freedom, right? So it's not, like you said, not being out of debt, but I would like to sponsor a service dog for Western New York Heroes because obviously they gave me Nikki and I want them to be able to, provide a service dog for other veterans out there. And this one it's not selfish. I'm going to say that right now. It's not selfish. But I want to be able to pay for my family, my adult children too, once a year to go away for Christmas, or once a year for us all to go away together. But I want something that I can provide to them. And then when they have spouses and kids, so yeah, it's going to be a big, huge expense. But I want something not to buy them to hang out with me, but they're used to us going someplace, whether it's Tennessee, Florida, like anywhere. They're used to us doing it every year. And when they get older, why should we stop doing that if we can do it? So I want to be able to do that too, because time is we don't have all the time in the world, and it means so much more experiences, I think, than physical, tangible gifts sometimes. And so just spend that time together without them having to worry about the finances of it. Yeah,
I love that.
that's what I want to do.
Thank you. And what comes to mind is our the place in Costa Rica with the mermaid. Cool. And you just being a mermaid in the bottom, be like, hey kids, no big deal. Mom's just being a mermaid.
I can't hold my nose, so I'll be like this. Just one hand.
All right. So remember, progress over perfection. Beautiful thing is never perfect. I'm gonna have to update some of the pictures. But yes, it's kind of just about right. All right, something to consider. 4 hours. This is your homework. What will you reduce? What will you release? What will you revive? And what will you relax in Yep, feel free to take a screenshot if you like. So homework. Y'all know the drill, know who I am, where to find me. All right, next step, let's bring it alive, make it come alive. So what I need you to do, you can do a collage on, you know, Adobe, on Word. You can have pictures, you can do scrapbooking, you can get out the magazines, the tape and the paper and the glue. Or this I got on Amazon. I think it's really, really affordable, but this is a whiteboard. It's really thin. It's all magnetic. So the whole thing is a magnet whiteboard. So this will be on my fridge all year. And then so what I do is I see it every single day at my island. And so when I go to the fridge every day, I see it. And then I can check things off as I accomplish things, right? So I see it every day, and that's what's most important. Once we bring this alive, we want it to be at eye level, not too high and not too low. We don't want it in a desk drawer or inside a locker, okay? It needs to be out in front high. It needs to be out where you can see it every single day. And here's the thing, ladies. If your husband or your children can't see your wildest dreams and goals, we need to have a conversation. If you're afraid to tell the people that you love most what your wildest dreams and goals are, okay? So make sure that it can be out, that it's not a secret, because you're worth it. They're your dreams, your goals, no matter how wild and crazy they are, no matter how nobody will understand them, it's not their job. It's your life. So, and this helps us retrain the brain to say, hey, remember that? Remember that thing you wanted? Right? So well beyond when the, you know, the excitement wears off, and you're still looking at it every day and reminding yourself with grace and love. Maybe you fell off, maybe you weren't as consistent as you thought, but it can be that constant reminder every single day to be like, hey, I said I was going to do this. Let's really stay intentional. Let's stay strong and prioritize what matters the most. Hi, sweetie. All right, so when you have doubts coming in, realize that they're doubts, that it's part of the process, it's part of the success journey. Doubts will creep in from your brain or someone else to say, who are you to think that you can do that? You're moving to Puerto Rico? What? You're moving to another country? Well, then it's not another country, but yeah. Bless and release some of these thoughts. And just receive your next appropriate action step. And sometimes we might need to pivot what that next step is. Oh, yes, text the kiddos. Okay. All right, so make sure we celebrate. So when we accomplish our things, make sure we celebrate. Very, very important. Okay, so our definition of bragging, I know I went over this, you all have heard me. Only when you're putting someone else down and celebrating yourself in the same sentence are you bragging. Okay. So document your success. And there's going to be a challenge. So for those of you who actually put up your vision board on social media and tag me, you actually put your wildest dreams out there, you're going to go into a raffle for a gift card. So you got to tag me, say how, you know, how you created this vision board and how it's going to change your 2024, how you did the dream casting, you know, say a little bit about the experience that you had tonight. And then I'll put those of you who do it. And you might need to tag me or send me a message too, just to remind me with like the link that you actually did it so that I can put you in there. Or screenshot or something. Not in our private group. Okay. All right, so document, document, document. Every morning starts a new page in your story. You're a leader and a CEO of your life. And so each day we're writing chapters, and we just did a lot of work tonight. So the next thing I want you to do before we end is take a look at your numbers in each of the categories and pick your lowest 3 numbers. So if you look at all of your scores, think of where your lowest numbers are. So you have the lowest 3, and I would highly recommend, and you get to choose where you prioritize, but I would highly recommend starting with the ones that are lowest, the top 3, and then prioritize those 3. Because when we think about all 8 things that we have to do, it's overwhelming. We're like, where do we start? And then it's analysis paralysis, and then we get down rabbit holes and squirrels over here and shiny objects over here. So just consider maybe looking at the 3 lowest and then racking and stacking, prioritize. Okay, like this week, I want to work on finances. Next week, I want to work on the second lowest one, maybe relationships, right? And then just take each day. And so, for instance, over the next 8 weeks, you could take 1 per week, for instance, and kickstart your 2024 with a week of intention for each of these goals or each of these areas of your life. Something to consider as well. And Sandra and I are working on 30, right? 30 hardish. So that's going to be a new challenge that we're going to start in 2024. So just a plug, we don't have it quite finished yet. But hopefully by tomorrow we'll have that all nailed out and out to you. January's challenge is we're going to have the normal fitness challenge, but this is going to be something different that's going to help us pour into some of the other pillars of our life. For instance, the reading, personal development, the nutrition, the movement, yeah. So more to come on that. I'm super excited to roll that out. All right. So any questions, comments, reflections? I know we were over a couple minutes. Thank you all for sharing. Anything coming up right now? Cynthia, I haven't heard from you at all. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Ooh, just a lot. I think one area for me that I'm really, really going to continue to work on is my personal development. I'm going on the retreat in July. So that will be good for me. And just connection with others. I need to keep that going. Doing things for myself, but I'm good. I'm good. Just a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for sharing that. And I saw you taking copious notes. So, this was, and sometimes people think they're like 2 hours. What are we gonna do for 2 hours? 2 hours goes by real fast, right? And we barely scratched the surface. So that's why I really wanted to lay the foundation for you. So if that overwhelms creeps in, and it's a lot of emotion, a lot to process, give yourself some grace and give yourself some really good self-love, because we just unpeeled a lot of layers, and we may have picked some scabs open, and we may have we're stopping bleeding here, but we're feeling rainbows and butterflies over here, but we're excited over here, but then over here we're like, ooh, that's something we don't want to look at, right? And so it's a dance that we do, but this is what our body and our conscious and our subconscious constantly goes through every day. And that's no wonder why we live in this chaos and anxiety and stress and pressure, right? And we go, bleh. And sometimes we do nothing. And then we're like, screw it, let's just eat Netflix and eat ice cream, right? And so it's so hopefully this was helpful for you. For those of you who this was your first time, I'd really love if you can share some reflections, whether it be a testimonial or something that resonated with you, or send me a message. I'd really love your feedback and your thoughts on how this went and how I can improve the next time. For those of you who have been here and done this a couple times, thank you for keeping to coming back, because part of that personal development, we never just arrive, right? We once you say yes to you, it's an endless pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And so we're never done with this work. There's never an end. And so once we accept that, we know that we keep coming back for more, because we keep getting curious and we're like, okay, what else is possible? Okay, what else is possible? Right? And then we stop and celebrate and honor each other along the way. So we want to make sure we don't skip that step too. And then also I would love to know what your word is for 2024. So if you've seen some themes come up over our time together, start to think. I know Heather, purpose was a big one, I think, for her. So start to think about words that kind of jump off at you and like some themes that you thought. And then if you can share those with me, that would be great. Just send me a message. Or feel free to share it on social as well. Any other questions or reflections? I know it's a lot, but you're not alone. We're all here. The great part about, our community is you have a place to go, to reach out and say, hey, I want to work on this. Can you help hold me accountable? So the piece of this is the accountability is the next step. You write it down, you're accountable to yourself. Say it to someone else, you got another layer of accountability. Post it on social, holy moly. People are going to be asking you, how's that podcast? How's that book? How's that resume going? How's your Spanish? So, okay. All right. So this will be available on replay. So if you know someone that needed this, they can go back in and register. It's $15 for the replay. So share the link. It's crystalorcruz.com/vision board. If you post on social and people are like, oh shoot, I missed it, send them the link. I'll get them the replay. All right. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you all, ladies. I love you so much. I'm thirsty. And yeah.
Love you
I know I'm
all.
on water. I
Goodbye.
love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steak sauce.
Steak sauce. A1 steak sauce.
Steak sauce.
Yes.
I'll explain later.